Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another podcast of Dr. Mike, which is myself. I just wanted to brag a little bit. I'm on the cover of Biohackers Magazine, issue 22. So, for the viewers, listeners, if you want to read the 12-page interview, just go to biohackersmagazine.com and check it out. Those are really good people and have a lot of interesting information in the magazine every month on upgrading the body, the mind, and life. But today we got an amazing guest. I'm so happy we finally found time to do this because our guest is Travis Steffens. And Travis is one of the top breath masters in the world. He also launched the world's first breathwork marketplace app called, go ahead, the Breath Source, right? So you
Breath
can
source.
download the Breath Source, on your smart device and check it out. Travis will expand on that a little bit. But I simply know him as an amazing human being. So before we get into the breathwork, I like to get you to know Travis just a little bit better. And so my first question, Travis, is know thyself are three words that you hold dear to your heart. Can you clarify or expand on that a little bit for our viewers?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on, Dr. Mike. Such an honor. So, know thyself means so much to me because one of the greatest journeys that I've ever gone on this earth is to fall in love with myself. And I think that that's what most individuals are seeking is A, love, and B, joyfulness within that love. And being able to be joyful within yourself allows you to be in love with yourself, and you can only give away what you possess. So people often think I'm giving love to this other person or compassion to this other person or care to this other person, but if they're not truly in love with themselves, then they can't give away something they don't possess. And so in the journey of knowing myself, thyself, I had to fall in love with who I was on every aspect, the dark and the light.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that there has to be black to have white. So you have to have the positive to have the negative. And so what it's allowed me to do through time is realize that every human that's in my vicinity is a direct reflection of me in some way. And the greater that I know me, the greater that I can reflect within them or they can reflect within me. And so it allows me to help them at a much deeper level because when I'm talking with them, I'm actually talking with me.
Yeah.
And I know myself well enough to know that the way they smile, the way they move, the way they talk, the way their energy feels, um, I can tell whether they're telling the truth. I can tell if they're pushing things to the left or to the right, and if they're not wanting to confront certain things. And it's just allowed me to be able to reflect in every human being and move towards the grandest version of myself and therefore inspire others to do the same.
So I assume that greatly helps you with being one of the top breath masters in the world, also being the best you can be in what you do so good.
Thank you, sir. It does help because I can feel into every situation
Yeah.
in what that human needs at that time. And it helps me to rise to, again, my highest and best, which then can reflect into that other.
Yeah, because I just know for a fact you already have healed some of my friends from devastating conditions. So thank you for that. Next, I want to share with people that you did grow up on a cattle ranch in Colorado. You were homeschooled because you had to help out, right? But then you ended up in real estate. So elaborate a little bit on the conscious capitalism principle that your company based itself on.
Thank you. So, John Mackey, the founder of Whole Foods, he coined the term conscious capitalism.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of bounced along the bottom of the business ranks for quite a while. But it's starting to rise, in my opinion, as we're starting to evolve as a society. And so, conscious capitalism, my definition of that is if you're going to do business in a city or in an area, everyone wins by you being there, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. Meaning that if somebody didn't invite you into that area, there's still an aspect of growth that comes from Dr. Mike being in that area or Travis being in that area. So when we would go into, so I built a national real estate investment company. We were working in 9 states. We had up to 7 to 9 projects going at a time. These were huge multifamily projects, 150 units up to 787 units. Some of them, the largest one was 100 buildings on 40 acres in some of the roughest parts of St. Louis, Missouri. And so I really enjoyed going into the roughest parts of these cities because, again, in the process of knowing thyself, when you can really dive into what others see as the darkness and yet find the light, that means you can find the light within yourself. And so in these rough areas, we would go in and renovate these huge buildings. And so I had to build a vertically integrated real estate investment company, meaning that I had an umbrella that would purchase the property, property management company that would take over the management of that property. I had a nonprofit that would come in and bring financial consciousness to the individuals in the property. I don't believe in giving things away, so it wasn't a nonprofit that would give things for free or treat people like a charity. It empowered them. And then I have a construction company that, through conscious capitalist efforts, would only hire homeless individuals. So we would take homeless people off the streets. We'd give them housing in the projects. We'd give them tools for the trade, and then we would train them. And we took Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton's biology of belief and falling in love with the future self algorithms. I've been studying them for the last 15 years ish. And I took biology and spirituality and physical effort, and again, knowing myself and how simple minded I am. And I built a software program that streamlined the renovation construction industry and put those algorithms in there to stop self sabotage. And so, through conscious capitalist efforts, we would take these individuals off the street, house them, give them tools for the trade, and train them. And we had an 80% success rate on throughput for them reintegrating back into society. And it was extremely rewarding. And one of the methods that we used to help the healing process was breath work. And so breath work was one of the strongest modalities. And they kept coming up to me after a breath work session and they would say, "Hey, can I get that session?" And most of them are, an hour long.
Yes.
And so I couldn't text an hour video. They didn't have Dropbox. We didn't have the emails was too tough. And so I would constantly just text them a YouTube link. Well, YouTube used to be a pretty safe place. Now it's full of all kinds of junk, full of shorts. It's no different than going on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so they would get these ads at the middle of these YouTube videos that would pop up. So I just decided 3.5 years ago that we needed to start building an app.
Yeah.
And the Breath Source app was born. And so they were the angels in my world bringing forth this beautiful technology while I'm sitting here with you today.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
the
kind of the
Breakfast
story.
app, it's a great app, and tell us a little bit about the app because it's not just you on the app, right?
Yeah. So in my breathwork journey, I've been teaching for about 8 years now. And in my breathwork journey, once I tasted breath work and the power of breath work, I got obsessed with what is this thing that's making me feel this way. And then I started to dive into the biology of breath work. And then I started to see that there's a bunch of different modalities of breath work. And then once I struck into the different modalities, then I realized there was a bunch of different teachers, trainers, and masters. So what I decided to do was build the world's first breathwork marketplace app, as you said in the beginning. And on the app, you can find all the world's greatest breath practitioners. So Dave Asprey just hosted a huge event in Orlando, and Soma was there, Niraj Nayak.
Yeah.
And Niraj was one of the first breath masters that I fell in love with that I was doing every single day. And he's on the app. And then Noah Aon, Pavel was there at the Orlando event, and both of them were invited by Dave Asprey to put on ecstatic dance and breath work each night at the event, and they're both on the app. And so what we did was we created a container that's a co-creation container where the world's leading breath masters could all come together and show the world how powerful co-creation is, instead of competition.
Yes.
So cooperation, conscious capitalism versus competition, crony capitalism, and this co-creation container called the breath source. So now we have almost 60 of the world's leading breath masters in, and we launched 4 months ago.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. We love the app. We use the app. It's easy to use. There's classes, there's live classes, there's retreats on there. You can navigate whatever you want. You can choose between 0 to 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and all the way up. So it's very well organized too. So listeners, just check it out. You can download it for free, I believe. Is that correct, Travis?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, nothing to lose there, right? So let's get into breath work. I guess a lot of people heard about breath work, but really have no clue what it is. So what would your definition or the explanation to somebody be who never heard of it if they ask, what is breath work?
Well, what's fun is that everybody that's listening to this knows what biohacking is, and you're the godfather of biohacking on the cover this month. And I don't know about all of you, but when I see Dr. Mike, all I see is him in a Superman cape just healing the world, and the guy is forever young here. So if we look at it like um, biohacking, the breath, in my opinion, is the fastest way to biohacking. It's the first thing we do when we enter this planet. She took her first breath. It's the last thing we do when we leave this planet. He took his last breath. But what happens in between here? And we lose conscious awareness of birth to death with the one thing that connects us to source, which is breath. Mindfulness meditation, what do they talk to you about? Tune into the breath. And when somebody's going through a stressful situation, what do they say? Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had this slight awareness that there's some power to the breath, but we've really fallen short of understanding the power of the breath. And there was a promise made by the source creator, or the gods, if you will, that you could never take life through breath. And if you think about the things on the planet, you can die by drinking too much water. There's many things you can do, but there was a gift given to us that says you can never take life through breath, meaning that you cannot overbreathe
Yeah.
and remove yourself from this planet. And so what breath work is breath work means that it's a workout with the breath that allows you to access the deepest states of consciousness you could ever imagine. From a 2 minute reset, like we'll do at the end of this video, so stay tuned, to a rebirthing or holotropic session where you actually tap into the dimethyltryptamine in your pineal gland and have an out of body experience, much like ayahuasca or Bufo would give you, but with your own dimethyltryptamine that's coded to your own DNA.
From the
That's
inside,
power
from the
from
inside.
the inside.
Yeah, versus taking something externally. So we'll dive into that a little bit more now. Um, what is the science behind this? In other words, what is the biological or physiological advantages of correct breathing? And maybe you can start by why we need to breathe through the nose, because the mouth's only designed for talking as we're doing or eating, right? And most people don't. The majority of people, I guess, breathe wrongly, like it says. We're not conscious about it. So can you explain a little bit the science, the biology, the physiology on how it affects us positively as human beings when we breathe correctly?
Yeah, I really want to give a lot of kudos and shout outs to Patrick McCowan with Oxygen Advantage. He's a friend of mine, and he is the godfather of how to breathe properly. So, Oxygen Advantage. And then James Nestor wrote the book Breath, which everybody has seen at this point. And James went through some extremely tenuous, um, very rigorous self deprivating experiments where he put himself on the line, and he did things like blocked his nasal passages and breathed for, I want to say it was 2 weeks straight through the mouth, where he couldn't breathe through his nose for 2 weeks straight. His health declined so massively that I want to say that they wanted to stop early, but his health declined massively, measurably massively within those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And not only that, his nasal passages started to shrink. And so it's like a muscle. When you don't use it, it goes away. And so his sleep decreased. I want to say he was waking up somewhere around 35 to 50 times a night when he was breathing through the mouth. opposed to only a couple times a night through the nose. So it caused sleep apnea. He had to get up to go pee many times a night because when you breathe through the mouth, you use 60% more fluids, Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
60%. And it causes all kinds of chemical issues within the body, brain fog. You get out of balance with carbon dioxide and oxygen. Carbon dioxide is the most important molecule, in my opinion, to the body. People think it's oxygen. I don't think it is. I think it's carbon dioxide. You get out of balance with carbon dioxide and oxygen, creates massive brain fog. It constricts the vascular system, all from breathing through the mouth. As you said, the mouth is designed to speak and it's designed to eat. And even when we're speaking, if we'll stop and reoxygenate through the nose, we'll end up breathing more better and we'll talk a little less, which is good for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Listen a little
the
bit more.
nose, the nose is made of these small cavities. It's made small holes for a very specific reason. When we breathe in, the air speeds up through the nasal passageways. It spins in the top of the nasal cavity. It pulls in nitric oxide, also known as nasal oxide, goes into the upper portion of the lungs. When it goes into the upper portion of the lungs, it brings the blood into the alveoli, up into the upper portion of the lungs, because nasal oxide it dilates the blood vessels, nitric oxide, and often weightlifters take NO to dilate the blood vessels. So it brings the blood up into the lungs, causes much, much better gas transfer from the alveoli to the cell. And then it also balances, very importantly, carbon dioxide and oxygen. And your 26 forever young foundational tissues can now get the oxygen they need, give back the carbon dioxide that they need to give back to the planet so that we can dance with the planet through our breath.
Yeah.
So the nose is extremely important to understand. This is the most useful tool on the body for life.
What can people do as a first step that never heard of this, that are breathing through the mouth or are what they call shallow chest breathers? What's the first thing they can do, like a tip or two, to start to changing that bad habit?
So the first thing I would direct people to do is understand why. We've come through this age of masculinity where they just say, do it because I said so.
Yes.
It's not enough to know how anymore. You need to know why. So dive onto Oxygen Advantage. Go onto the Breath Source app. We have Oxygen Advantage on the Breath Source app. We have Brian Marabella, Gray Cause, some of the highest level Oxygen Advantage teachers in the world, or go to Patrick McCowan with Oxygen Advantage. Gain the awareness of what happens when you breathe through the nose. Read the book Breath. Oxygen Advantage has Brooks's books as well. Find out what's happening when you breathe through the nose, because I guarantee you, when you find out the negative side effects of mouth breathing, changes your jaw, it smashes your teeth together, it shrinks the face, it causes your jaw to extend. And this isn't just as a young child.
Yeah.
This happens all through life. I watched my face change when I started breathing through my nose. My nasal passages expanded, and I literally see my jawline completely different. So when you see the effects of what the body is capable of, that awareness is the first step. Then the second step is start doing exercises that will create what's called oxygen hunger in the body. And one of those simple exercises is breathe in for 10 seconds and then breathe out for 10 seconds and very low and slow. And when you breathe in, you want to breathe in through the belly and you'll breathe in very low and slow for 10 seconds. And then you'll breathe very low and slow out for 10 seconds. And then as you can do that comfortably, then you'll bump it up to 15, 15 in, 15 out. Also, there's box breathing and some other short techniques. And what you'll feel is you'll start to feel this pain in the chest area. We call that oxygen hunger, but it's not. What it actually is used up carbon dioxide that comes into the lungs. We've programmed our nervous system to want to get that carbon dioxide out, And we want to actually learn to build tolerance for that carbon dioxide. So it's like going into the gym. The first time you do curls and you feel the burn, you don't want to stop the second you feel the burn. You want to burn into it a little bit, then stop, then it repairs. And then each time you do it, you get stronger and stronger. So, small examples is I can inhale for a minute and then I can exhale for a minute. And it took me years to get up to that. And so after a few minutes of that, it becomes very challenging for me.
Yeah.
Um, when I first started breath work, I could barely hold my exhale holds for 2 minutes. And through a process, I got up to being able to hold an exhale hold for 6.5 minutes. And so it's a muscle and it just needs to be
Right.
worked.
Yeah.
And the health benefits are tremendous.
No, I mean that's great. So breathing through the nose. Now, if you say breathing through the nose, and this is just for the listeners, it means inhale and exhale through the nose, both, correct?
Correct. Now, if you're exercising, in the beginning especially, because I breathe through the nose all the time now. Whether I'm exercising, doesn't matter what I'm doing. I do some very strenuous sports and I make sure to breathe through my nose because your performance will increase by 30% right off the bat by
Crazy.
30%. And so um breathing in the nose and out of the nose, the perfect breath is in for 5. So out for 6. That's a perfect breath. And if your belly fills up too much too fast, that means you're breathing too quickly.
Yeah.
Slow the breath down, leave a little bit of space in the lungs so it's breathe slow and low. So we're breathing less in and we're breathing slower and more controlled. So we're taking control of that muscle. And so you want to breathe in for 5 and out for 6 through the nose. Keep
So
the mouth closed.
you only take 5, maximum 6 breaths per minute, that versus about 18 to 22 through the mouth. That's like
Good job, Dr. Mike.
that's about a 300% difference. How does that affect our longevity and our life?
Good job. So in 1927, we were breathing 7 to 8 times a minute. Now we're breathing 16 to 18 times a minute. And the optimal breath is 5.5 breaths a minute. And at 5.5 breaths a minute being optimized, and we're averaging 18, 300% too much over breathing. No, I just said you can't take life through breath.
Yeah.
Yes, that's accurate, but there's a balance. When you come do a breathwork class with us in Costa Rica, we're going to use breath as a tool to throw the body out of balance so that the chemicals that are produced in the out of balance state can go into the biohacking realm and heal the body. But on a daily, day in, day out basis, when we misbreathe, we're tapping into the autonomic nervous system and we're putting ourselves into the fight or flight mentality. So when we breathe more than 7 or 8 times a minute, we're throwing ourselves into the sympathetic side of the nervous system, which is the fight or flight nervous system, and it's causing adrenaline, noradrenaline, all the things that you don't want to happen to take place in the body, and eventually it starts to break the body down.
So from that perspective, sympathetic, parasympathetic breathwork really would be a great tool also to quickly, change from sympathetic and have that awareness into parasympathetic repair and regeneration, correct?
Correct. Yep. So if you think of parasympathetic, para is a parachute. So
Mm.
you jump out of the plane, you're in sympathetic, freaking out, fight or flight, and then you pull the parachute, go into the parasympathetic, which is the rest and rebuild. Parachute's open, you're holding, you're hanging, and now all those chemicals that were designed to evade the tiger can now go to rebuild the body, help your digestion, help your rebuild of all of your tissues and muscles and organs and get back into balance.
Yes, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other applications here, but I kind of want to share my little story here. Of course, I've always been into swimming and sports, and I went to the University of Brussels, did physical education. So everything was really focused body. And then, of course, when I got, to travel with Olympic athletes and experience other top athletes around me, people started telling me you really got to start focusing on the mind also and meditate and get into the right brainwave and use that to your advantage as a top athlete. And I think 1 to 2 decades ago, I actually started to try to meditate, trying to get the advantages, but it was very, very difficult for me to empty my mind. It was extremely difficult for me to do that. So when you try something and invest some time, but you really don't get the results, most of us, including myself, would kind of give up. But I think today, Travis, there's so many strategies and technologies out there that really facilitate us getting into those zones or getting these results that we're looking for much faster, or at least experience something that you're not used to, or something new, or something different, which then will basically encourage you to continue because something worked, right? Even though you're not where you want to be. And so for the listeners, I, was familiar with breath work, but didn't really practice it. And then you were in San Diego. When was that? Last year or beginning of this year?
Yeah, it was beginning of this year.
Yeah, beginning of this year. And so it was a mentorship by Dr. Fat Mancini. And I met Travis there for the second time at one of those events. And so Travis did an hour or an hour and a half breathwork session on Sunday morning before we all took off back home. And it was the first time that I really had a, professionally guided breathwork session. And I actually, for the first time, felt that I was able to clear my mind 100% because I was so focused on the breath work and the instructions that I got that for the first time I really felt my mind completely empty, which I was not able to do with meditation, binaural beats, or any of those types of things. So that's when I really got more interested in what Travis was doing. And so fast forward another 6 months, we decided to do a Costa Rica retreat where we do all kinds of transformational activities. It's from August 31st till September the 5th, which is Labor Day. No, yeah, Labor Day weekend coming up here in not too long. But I decided to make breathwork the #1 activity. And so Travis is going to be our master breathworker there doing all the breathwork. And we do breathwork every day. And because I feel even for myself that it has made a big difference, and I'm just really a beginner in this breathwork, so I can only imagine where it could bring somebody. So Travis, you kind of help me putting the agenda on a daily basis, and every day we're gonna kind of use breathwork to achieve another goal. And so can you expand a little bit on the different applications of breathwork? Because when I look at our agenda here, we do heart coherence. We're going to reprogram the nervous system. We are battling fear. We're doing some rebirthing, talk about spirituality. So can you expand on some of those, on what we will experience
Yes. And I'm super excited to expand on this because as you just talked about, flow state is what most of us are after,
in the
especially
zone?
when it comes to sports in the zone.
Yeah.
Even with work, you get a good 4 hours of flow state, deep work, and you're going to get 10x results. And so at the Costa Rica retreat, there's some things that we're going to be having fun with there. So this is one of the things. So this is a chi coil. Dr. Mike knows this. So this chi coil from David Wong, he's a friend of mine now, has made a huge difference in my life. And then we have the brain tap headsets that Dr. Patrick Porter has agreed to send to Costa Rica so that we can have them there for the retreat. And those are just two devices that we can do breath work with that magnifies the experience of tapping into your own supply. And so the chi coil putting out frequency, the brain tap headset with the biophotonic light feedback, binaural beats, and the lights in the ears because your ears, the vascular system in ears controls your brain state. And so all of those little tools along with breath work are going to be provided including being in the most peaceful place on the planet. So
That's
thank you for
right.
that, Mike. And we're going to start out by understanding why. So we're going to talk about breath. So I've given a little bit of a tutorial here. We're going to go deeper on the why of breath and how does the breath affect the body physiologically, mentally, but spiritually as well. I believe that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And if we can take that and know thyself from the spiritual perspective, it allows us to understand that this is just a machine that we're in full control of, that was designed to never die, to be forever young, and be in complete and total health for eternity. And I'll argue with anyone that death is a fallacy. It's only a reality because these things called eyes and these things called ears that take in the reception of what appears to be an older person, it's a lie. And so, with the breath work and these tools, we can reprogram the nervous system to a new state, to a new time, to a new body, to a new mind. And we can take the power back from these receptors, from the body, bring it back to ourselves, and then we can control our outcome instead of just being victimized to the outcome of everyone else. So we're going to learn all about that. Then we're going to go into short breath work sessions that allow us to feel that euphoric, blissful sensation, getting higher in our own supply. And then we're going to end out with a rebirthing session that will tap into our own dimethyltryptamine to have a potential out of body ayahuasca style experience. And you don't have to do this. This is what's fun is in ayahuasca, you take the medicine, you're in the journey. Here, if you're not enjoying what you're finding, you just simply go back to a normal breath, everything calms back down. That's the promise of breath. And so we're going to be ramping up as we go along the retreat. And at the end, we'll have the grand finale with the rebirthing session.
It sounds pretty exciting to me. That's a journey right there. I'm very excited about it because obviously we're there on 40 acres in the jungle. We can see the ocean. We're among sloths and monkeys and toucans, and the facility is just amazing. The places where we do this work, it's this huge hut that's built, on poles that we access, and we're kind of, in the middle of the canopy. And that's where we're doing all these sessions in Mother Nature. Nobody's there to disturb us. So the environment is great. And the people that are already registered and are coming are like-minded people. So what I see here too, Travis, is not just this one-on-one experience or being by yourself, but it's going to have this synergistic effect, especially with you as the leader, this synergistic effect of like-minded people doing this breathwork at the same time.
Yes. And when you bring that energy together into one space,
yeah,
energy it says it everybody's heard where two or more gathered together, it's done. When you bring a group of people in and you build that energy up, magic happens. Absolute magic.
Yeah, no, that's great. So we're all looking forward to that. Now, for those who can't make Costa Rica, but check it out, it's on my website, biohackingunlimited.com. Go to the Costa Rica page. There's still some spots left. It's very affordable. I mean, the experiences there, we have a day-by-day itinerary. We got all kinds of videos of the property, the accommodations, the food. Everything's there on one page for you to explore and sign up. But if you can't make it, again, we got the Breath Source app, which is a good start to get familiar with some of the basic principles, I guess. But Travis, where can people contact you, or maybe follow your classes, or do one-on-one work with you?
So the Breath Source app is available on Android and iOS. When you log into the app, you'll see the Breath Masters at the top. Scroll across, you'll find my section. I'm sitting there in a blue shirt,
Yeah.
and I've got a bunch of different breath work in there. If you have a Brain Tap headset, you can go into the search function of the Brain Tap app, type in the Breath Source, and I have an album in Brain Tap called Soma Heart Coherence, and it's 8D. So it's a whole new technology. My voice moves around in the head with a brain tap headset on. It's pretty fun. I actually just did it this morning. I highly recommend checking that out on Brain Tap. And as far as live classes go, you can email me at travis@thebreathsource.app, travis@thebreathsource.app, and set up a live session with you or any friends. We are doing live sessions outside of the app at the moment that are scheduled regularly. You can also go into contact us in the app. We get those emails directly, and you can ask for a live session there as well. But I highly recommend this Costa Rica retreat, understanding breath at this level, understanding the technologies at this level. You won't leave the way you came.
That's what it's all about, is having these transformations and most of all possibilities. I talked to Dr. Fab, who's going to be there too. It's for us professionals, we want to reset. We need a little break ourselves. We need to reset, but at the same time, we're going to upgrade, and we're going to have many experiences, mainly breath work, as Travis greatly explained, but there's many other experiences. And so I think it's a reset button, but it's going to open up other possibilities for us to go to that next level or into the next growth zone, or whatever it is that your journey will be after the Costa Rica retreat. So, Travis, is there anything else you want to share? Because we'll finish with a few minutes of some breath work. I think that's the best way to finish this podcast.
Yeah, I can't express the gratitude of just being here and being the teacher in Costa Rica with you, Mike, and the opportunity that I've had to work with people who have found themselves in a place of dis-ease. The body's not designed for that, and we're going to learn how and why our birthright is wholeness, and the breath is an opportunity to step into that birthright. Your etch a sketch of your life is, all the squiggles and all the parts and pieces. We're going to shake it. We're going to cleanse it out. We're going to put it down so that you can come back the grandest version of the greatest vision that you hold for yourself.
No, and again, I appreciate it, and gratitude to you. How can we have a better person at the retreat than you to teach our attendees and our people, the best way of breathwork and really feel a transformation just in a few days. So thank you already for doing that for us. So Travis, I'll leave it up to you. Let's finish with maybe a little bit of breathwork. What about that?
All right, let's do it. All right, Mike. So I don't have any music prepared, so we're just gonna have to go with the beat of our hearts. So if you just sit back and straighten your spine, just be in a nice, comfortable position, hands rested on your knees, eyes closed. Now I want you to slightly tilt your eyes up and just stare in between your eyebrows. Puts us in a new brain state. Now I want you to come into tune with your breath, breathing in through the nose and breathing out of the mouth. Nice and slow and low, breathing in the nose, breathing out of the mouth. Come into tune with the air coming in through the nose. Feel the temperature of the air as it enters the nose and permeates your lungs. Now feel the air as it exits the lungs out of the mouth. And I want you to set an intention with this 2-minute reset to let go of anything that no longer serves you and to just take this moment to step into a new place and a new time. And as we breathe in through the nose, I want you to become aware of placing the tongue on the top of your mouth. So breathing in, feel the tongue suction up against the roof of the mouth, and then release the tongue as you breathe out of the mouth. Feel the tongue as you breathe in, suction against the roof of the mouth, and then breathe out of the mouth. Continue this as I speak. So we're going to breathe in for my count, and we're going to breathe about 20 breaths. You're going to get a little lightheaded. You're going to feel a little euphoria. And then I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. At the end of the breathing, and we're going to take a big breath in. We're going to hold it. And then we're going to exhale it all out on my word. And we're going to hold with no air in the lungs for a very short period of time. Resist the urge to breathe and just go inside. And then we're going to take a final inhale and reset breath at the end of that. And then we're going to wrap up this call. I'll walk you through the whole thing. So just tune back into the breath, breathing into the nose, tongue against the roof of the mouth, breathing out of the mouth. Now you're going to follow my lead as I count down to 1. We're going to dive into this breathwork exercise in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Five, 4, 3, 2. Last one, big breath in. Hold it. Holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Drop your chin to your chest. Relax your hands. Relax your legs. Relax your shoulders. Go inside. Say hello to the deepest parts of you. Feel the tingling in the hands and the feet. We're going to hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big breath through the nose. Hold all your focus, attention, and awareness at the top of your head, pulling all the energy up the spine. We're going to hold this full reset for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Return to normal breath. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out the mouth. Into the nose. Out through the mouth. Notice the clarity in the mind. Notice the euphoria in the body. Coming back to this place and time. This is just a very, very small taste of what you'll receive in Costa Rica, but this is a great 2-minute reset if you find yourself stressed during the day. 20 to 30 breaths into the nose, out to the mouth, nice and fast. Holding at the top, releasing at the bottom, holding with no air in the lungs. Holding for about 30 seconds, and then big inhale through the nose. Full gas exchange reset, balancing the oxygen and carbon dioxide, and then releasing for clarity of mind, body, and purpose.
I'm ready for the day, Travis.
Awesome.
Very good. Thank you so much for that free class, right? And thank you for explaining everything to us. We're really excited to have you. And again, people, check out the Breath Source app. You can contact Travis through there too. And have a blessed day. Thanks, Travis.
All the love and light. Thank you, Dr. Mike. Take care, guys.